Hey, it's Clip of the Day time where Buck Sexton and I pick out the best hot take, the most fun that we had for all of you to be able to experience on the show.
That's right, and this segment is brought to you by ExpressVPN, which is the virtual private network that we trust to protect our online data.
When I use ExpressVPN, the big tech companies can't see my IP address, my identity is anonymized, and my data's encrypted. That gives me the absolute maximum protection.
And what I like is how easy it is to use. Just download the app to your phone or computer, and you're protected. So visit expressvpn.com/patriot today, and you'll get an extra 3 months free, or you can click on the link in the description below.
That's expressvpn.com/patriot, and now it's time for the clip of the day.
I woke up excited, Buck. I woke up this morning excited because I want Virginians to help to lead us back to sanity in this country. And I know there are many of you voting on a variety of different issues all over the country. Buck, I think Minneapolis has got police on the ballot and how exactly defund the police is going to be applied going forward. Seattle has got important elections going on. We got a New Jersey governor's race that could end up way tighter than people anticipated there as well. But most of the eyes of the nation are going to be on Virginia, a state that Joe Biden won by 10 points. And there is a lot of cautious optimism that Glenn Youngkin is going to flip the state of Virginia back into the red column. And if this happens, I think it's going to send out shockwaves throughout the country because Democrats are going to be running scared as we get closer to a year from now when 2022 happens and there is a monster red tide that I think is going to sweep across the entire country, particularly in the House and also in the Senate. And people out there who may say, well, why does this matter? It matters because there are going to be, I think, congressmen and potential senators and or Congress candidates and Senate candidates who are going to look at this, who are Democrats, and say, I don't know that I want 2022 to be the year that I decide to run. And I think conversely, there are going to be top Republicans who are making decisions, let's say in New Hampshire, where you got Sununu trying to decide whether or not he wants to run for the Senate and potentially take back a seat for Republicans. I think there are going to be many people out there who look at these results and say, okay, the situation is ripe. I need to run in 2022. So this has shockwave opportunities in the state of Virginia to send a message about fighting against Biden, the authoritarianism, the woke alliance that is driving the Democratic Party. I think it has a big impact potentially in the way that Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema feel standing up against the Build Back Better Bernie bill that is trying to be foisted upon them right now. If the nation shows up and shows that they do not support Democratic policies, I think those senators will be emboldened. I think many moderate Democrats will be emboldened, and we may see some seismic changes in Washington, D.C. That's why this matters, in particular in Virginia. And you know this, Buck. We both have lived in D.C. If you're close to the nation's capital, people pay more attention to what happens. Everybody goes in and out of Northern Virginia. They expect that that is a Democratic stronghold now. If they lose Virginia, it's going to register in a way that another state might not, right? Just based on the geographic proximity.
The spillover from Washington, D.C., which is 90% plus Democrat, is what is now turning Virginia effectively into a blue-purple state instead of a red-purple state. So it would be big from an electoral perspective, but there's also the issues that we're seeing play out here. On the positive side, you've got the Youngkin teacher involvement, counter-revolution, as I like to call it, against CRT madness. They keep trying this, there is no CRT, we don't teach CRT. And then when people say, well, hold on, go on the Virginia Department of Education website and you'll find CRT training right there in front of you, they go, oh, well, it's a racist dog whistle to not like CRT. Parents don't like their kids being taught divisive crap, and they really don't like being told they're insurrectionists or domestic terrorists because they don't like being told, or rather they don't like their kids being taught that crap and then they're lied to about it. So they get particularly upset about this. There's been an obvious effort to use the most underhanded, nasty racial insinuations about Youngkin and his supporters at the very end. You may have seen there's this photo going around a number of blue check journalists just happened to get kind of the
Oh,
same
yeah.
photo of a guy with a big old jean jacket on and just happens to, right smack in the middle of the jacket, have a newly sewn on, very, very sort of shiny and new looking Confederate flag. And they're all going, oh, look, it's just at the Youngkin rally. Sure. After we had the Tiki Torch false flag last week. Sorry, libs. Not going to buy it. But we have to call it out because they're hoping that people that don't spend all day thinking about politics will see this and come to a different conclusion. And that's also why you're seeing Terry McAuliffe make these ugly smears and insinuations about Youngkin, about his supporters. But he's stumbled a lot, Clay. McAuliffe has had some big problems, some big misses here. And this is just, I think another one where he straight up says, you know what the problem is with the Virginia school system, Clay? Too many white teachers.
We've got to diversify our teacher base here in Virginia. 50% of the students in Virginia schools, K-12, 50% are students of color, and yet 80% of the teachers are white. We all know what we have to do in a school to make everybody feel comfortable in school. So let's diversify. So here's what I'm going to do. We'll be the first state in America. If you'll teach...
I mean, Clay, by the way, I love it. We all know... No, we don't all know that, what, you now have racial quotas for teachers? You lunatic? Like, what is he even talking about? By the way, you know where his kids go to school, right?
Private school.
The most expensive private school in the D.C. area, $40,000 a year, the Potomac School in Maryland. But, you know, he loves the public school system.
Yeah, and as a public school parent, the idea that you would be upset about what the racial makeup of your teachers is, this is desperation. And the challenge that Terry McAuliffe has is it's hard to try to be a racist dog whistler, which is what he's doing to try to motivate turnout, when your governor, Democrat, Northam, is in blackface, when your attorney general also was in blackface when he was in college. It's hard to argue that Glenn Youngkin is unacceptable for race-related reasons when Democrats have already excused extreme racist behavior by their own currently elected officials. And I think that falls flat with very many people out there who, to your point, Buck, I mean, there's a difference between saying, hey, we want the best teachers and saying, hey, we want the best teachers and they must be this particular color. People don't take the next step. I don't care what color the teachers are of my kids who go to public school. I want the best possible teacher for them, regardless of color or gender or anything else. I just want good teachers, period. That's where parents are.
99.99% of American parents, Clay, would agree with you. And that's why I think when you see this, when you have this moment of McAuliffe pandering and going into these places that he just thinks are useful for his own political purposes, irrespective of what it does, what it says about parents in his own community, irrespective. I mean, he keeps talking about the racist dog whistle. He's saying that the parents who are upset about CRT, about the transgender bathroom policy, even about masks, are a bunch of racists. I mean, this is the game that he's playing in Virginia. Now, that may make his hardcore Democrat supporters feel good because they love to stick a thumb in the eye of the other side in whatever way they can. But for the independents, swing voters, people that live in Loudoun County that may be changing it up after the last election, I think, look, I'm hoping it's a losing formula for McAuliffe, who's a slimy but cagey fellow.